Hey, hey, hey. You watching the video? You got 2 minutes to go. Okay. I always like to come on early. And I haven't done that in a while, but I'm doing a much better time management thing right now. And so just feeling pretty good about how I'm maneuvering things and shifting. So that's important. So I hope that whatever's going on in your life, start to, by the way, yeah, look at some of the memes that I've been posting, because a lot of them are talking about personal growth and how you have to value your time and keep the balance in your life. All of these things are really important. So I don't post just to sound positive. Like I say, is you don't know how really good I am as a speaker is because you only see my positive posts instead of my life. Yeah, it's no smooth road. I got a lot going on. And I know you do too. Well, one thing we got going on is less than a minute for today's broadcast. So, make it your choice to stay positive or to start out by being positive, because see, being positive is actually not that hard. Staying positive is the challenge. So it's a challenge you can meet. It's been done. It's just you haven't done it in this new way that the challenge is hitting you. So understand that, and don't beat yourself up for something that that has not happened to you before. When something new happens to us, we don't know what our reaction is going to be. And look at, what, that's in today's message. Now that I'm thinking about it, but life is in today's message. Life is always lifing. Okay. So, forgive yourself and give yourself some wonderful grace. But let's get going, because goodness to you. And let me know where you're watching them from. Goodness to you. And I always say goodness. Why? Because I don't know whether you're watching morning, afternoon, or evening. But isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? Welcome to Truth Thursday, where we recognize that tests are really understood until the testimonies actually heal. So when I created this broadcast title, first, what I decided to do was I would decide to go with the fact that truth only needs half the letters in the word Thursday. Second, we've all heard that the truth shall set you free. Well, let's add to that, and that is that freedom is a tough choice, because see, freedom is a result. And when you choose that result, when you choose the truth, you may have to choose different surroundings, the people you hang with, the job you're working at, the person you're dating. You may have to make some difficult choices and choose some different surroundings. You see, my affirmation for free is FREE, facts, risk, empathy, and excellence. And like truth, you'll find it in my book, Affirmation. Now, an affirmation is an acronym that goes beyond adding a word to each letter. What it actually does is brings the word to life as an affirmation. It defines the words and brings it to life as an affirmation. So bringing free to life, we see that true freedom is based on facts. Facts, risk, empathy, and excellence. Based on facts, not luck, not guesses. And just using that and risk, R-I-S-K, recognition is success is key, as an affirmation within itself, we're reminded that once you know who you are, you have to also be ready to take a chance on being who you are. And we may not know how important it is to take that chance until we do. But one thing I always say is that freedom is always worth the risk. So getting into what truth stands for. We'll continue to start by embracing that first word, and that is test. Test is the root of truth. You see, you can't have the freedom, the forecast, or the fullness of a testimony without the test. I didn't get any co-authors last week to keep my time series going. So God sent me a new message. He sent me a new package, as I like to call it. So my guiding scripture today will be 2 Chronicles 24 and 22. Zechariah's last words as he died were, "May the Lord see what they are doing and hold them accountable." Hmm. As we take a look at the blessing of understanding that we learn through repetition with options. Now, this guiding scripture is a less familiar story of how King Joash, son of Ahaziah, treated Zechariah, son of Jehoiada. But before I add the context to that, I'll add the title of my session. We are, I'll add the context. I'm sorry, where I got lost myself. I'll add the context to what to that I'll address. Oh, I'm adding the context of how I'll address the title. Okay. We are socialized to learn through repetition, sometimes harsh, sometimes gentle. And one of the first words we learn is no, N-O. Yet we learn it with different patterns of severity. There's no with a harsh voice, a warning voice, sometimes eventually accompanied by a pop on a body part. We learn to put the two together and we avoid experiencing them. We try to avoid experiencing them. No, pop. Then there's no with a gentle warning of concern. And we don't really recognize that that's what it is, a gentle warning of concern. So yet we kind of sort of notice that it didn't come with a pop. No, it's the warning we get teaching us to avoid the hot stove. No, stay away, hot, hot. We hear the familiar no followed by a new word, hot, hot. Now, we don't get what this hot thing is, but we're happy enough to receive the no without the pop. So we don't touch the stove. And some days we get to exercise the option of touching the stove as we're showing off how we can stand up. And adults are cheering us on. So we forget about the gentle no and wait for what will eventually become our turn to learn about that hot that they kept throwing in at the end. And now no becomes even clearer to us as we've now learned that it can come as a harsh warning or a gentle warning. We get better at understanding tones. So it can become a harsh warning or a gentle warning. We get better at understanding the tone of no versus no. You see, we learn through repetition with options. Now, what will repeat itself in today's lesson is the letter J in front of three men's names, and each had 5 letters in their name. Yet each was involved with the choosing of a different option from their similar situations. So back to today's scripture. King Joash's life was actually saved by Jehoiada, the priest, when he was 1 year old. Joash was 1 year old. Jehoiada was not. He was a priest. And the full story is in 2 Chronicles 22, 10 through 12, where the priest actually helped hide Joash from a vengeful queen. And Jehoiada next, he saw to it that Joash was crowned king at age 7. However, after Jehoiada died in 2 Chronicles 24 and 15, we find that King Joash gave the order to have his son, Jehoiada's son, Zechariah, stoned to death. And it was Zechariah's last words. May the Lord see that they do what they're doing and hold them accountable, that sent me to the second J found in Luke 23:34. Jesus said, Father, forgive these people because they don't know what they're doing. You see, Joash influenced Zechariah's choice to condemn. Jesus chose a different option when faced with death and betrayal. And so I ask you, what will you choose? Our third J is found in Jonah 1 and 5. Fearing for their lives, the desperate sailors shouted to their gods for help and threw the cargo overboard to lighten the ship. And all this time, Jonah was sound asleep down in the hold. Meanwhile, the whole first chapter of Jonah is actually about his running away from God. While in Matthew 8:23 through 27, Mark 4:35 through 41, and Luke 8:22 through 25, like Jonah, Jesus is asleep in a boat during a storm. And we all know that he woke up and peace be still, he calmed the storm. The option here is that Jonah chose to sleep while he ran away from God's promise. Jesus chose to sleep while he moved. God's promise and God's purpose is fine. Jesus chose to sleep while he moved toward God's purpose. What have you chosen? And what will you choose? And you see, the truth is, as I said earlier, we don't know. And we won't know until the lesson is learned. Sometimes it'll come with a pop. No. Other times, a soft tone. No. Yet it takes repetition and a big dab of patience. You see, you can't give up on yourself based on your past. Instead, learn to strengthen yourself based on your past. You've heard me say it before. Laugh at your lack record. Trust your track record. Your lack record is what you think you don't have to be successful at a given thing that you've never done before. Well, I don't have the right education. I don't have the right background. I don't have the right size. That's the lack record. I lack this. But then if you trust your track record that I don't have this, but I have that, sometimes that'll override it. So you laugh at your lack record. You trust your track record. Remember, I did a meme today that sometimes people say no, N-O, because they don't know, K-N-O-W, who you are. You've learned a lot and you've made a lot of good decisions with the options that you unfolded. Choose to understand that people are who they are. And the best thing you can do with them is actually doing for yourself. Find and move toward God's purpose for your life. Because you know what? You'll learn it again and again. Thanks for joining me. Next week, I'll get back to my Smile series. And I'll feature the letter M. If you want to be a co-author on my message, just drop a word in the thread that begins with the letter M. And don't worry, the word does not have to relate to smiling. I'll make it relate to the message. And remember, tests are rarely understood until the testimonies heal them. And freedom can be a tough choice because freedom is a result. Choose the truth. It's worth the different surroundings. Find the comfort in knowing that your smile is easily understood, and joyfully remind someone to smile about themselves. Meanwhile, Smile is also one of my new set of T-shirts. If you haven't seen my promo, okay, $30 per shirt includes shipping, and you can combine your order with any number of friends that you want to have to reduce your cost per T-shirt to $21. 5 shirts with a 30% discount. So therefore, it will cost each of you $21 instead of $30. And you can either have 4 other friends, or you can order 2. Another person can order 2. Another person can order 1. Somebody can order 3. However you want to mix and match, I'll mail them to one address. So I appreciate that. Thanks again for watching. Have a safe and wonderful first weekend in my favorite month, August, knowing that you are great at learning through repetition. And not only learning through them, but choosing good options. That's trusting your track record. I'm Sporty King. Over and out. Ciao.